Tonight, South Australia's roadmap out of the COVID-19 pandemic released. And authorities reveal a COVID case from Victoria was infectious in Broken Hill.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Ruby Kamain begins now.
Good evening. The state government has today announced South Australia's roadmap out of the pandemic, now setting a date on border restrictions easing. It follows the statewide vaccination blitz over the weekend, with the latest data seeing some council areas reaching 80% for first doses.
The news all South Australians have been waiting to hear.
Today, it's with great pride that I announce our COVID-ready plan for South Australia.
From November 23, border restrictions will be lifted for those who are double-dose vaccinated, with no quarantine required. International arrivals will only need to quarantine for 7 days instead of 14, and home gatherings will be increased to allow 30 people. The Premier says more restrictions will be eased once the state reaches 90% vaccinated for 12 years and over.
So the race is on in South Australia. We need as many people to get vaccinated as quickly as possible so that we can enjoy as normal a Christmas as possible during this pandemic.
The announcement coming after the state's super walk-in weekend, with the latest SA Health data revealing South Australia is another step closer towards the national target. Port Pirie is sitting at around 77% for first doses, an almost 4% jump from last week. Port Augusta is leading the way in the Spencer Gulf. 61.3% are fully vaccinated, while 60% of Whyalla residents have now had both jabs. Across the region, some council areas have cracked the 80% mark for first doses. Orroroo-Carrington, the only LGA with nearly 72% of residents double-dose vaccinated. Experts say there was even a large take-up of the Moderna vaccine across the state's community pharmacies.
I think a lot of people were waiting for the Moderna vaccine to come out. The weekend was pretty successful compared to other Sundays and other Saturdays. Generally, those weekends have been pretty slow in regards to the uptake in community pharmacy.
The message to all South Australians remaining the same: get vaccinated.
Look, the best way to protect your family and friends from COVID-19 and also to ease the burden on your local community and the health system is to get your COVID-19 vaccine as soon as possible.
Katrina Musson, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Across the border, local health authorities have revealed Broken Hill's latest COVID case is a Victorian resident, but stress he doesn't appear to have broken any rules. They're continuing to encourage all locals to get tested, with concerns the virus may have been passed on.
The COVID comeback tour nobody asked for. A worker from Wodonga on the Victorian border testing positive yesterday, our first case in more than 2 weeks.
They were tested in Broken Hill, out developing symptoms and were found to be COVID positive. The person was fully vaccinated.
The man tested negative before leaving Victoria but was infectious in the community for 2 days. Under current rules, workers are permitted to cross the Murray River. At least 4 close contacts are isolating.
Even if you're vaccinated, we encourage you to come out for testing regardless of symptoms.
And if you don't have symptoms and aren't a contact, you won't need to isolate while waiting for test results in the Far West LHD. Local health saying it's reasonable to assume more cases will follow. Exposure sites will be added to the New South Wales government website as they're known.
As cases continue to pop up across the district, this pandemic is not over.
But in the latest step towards COVID normal, Silverton has now been added to our border bubble with South Australia. As we reopen and reunite, COVID will spread. Health saying COVID-safe practices should continue.
Good hygiene, distancing from other people, using those masks are really important to help stop the spread in addition to vaccination.
Lachlan Ittis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A truck crashed at Hallett in the York Mid-North early this morning. At around 2:45am, police say a truck travelling south on the Barrier Highway left the road and crashed into a road roller parked on an embankment. The 73-year-old Ridleyton driver was taken to the Jamestown Hospital with minor injuries. The passenger, a 68-year-old Kilburn man who was asleep in the rear cabin, was flown to the Royal Adelaide Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Investigations are ongoing. It was the second truck crash on our part of the Barrier Highway in less than 24 hours. Another man was injured when his rig left the road east of Broken Hill yesterday. Crews called to Little Topar at 11 a.m. The driver, in his 50s, suffering injuries to his face, leg and abdomen, and was taken to Broken Hill Hospital in a stable condition. The crash punctured a hole in the truck's fuel tank, with fire crews making the area safe. Still to come tonight, Broken Hill Police warn locals of a small rise in property theft. And a community drug and alcohol seminar in Port Augusta, tackling the region's poor habits. Welcome back. Police in Broken Hill have issued a handful of simple reminders as more people return to work. It follows a small increase in property theft and an extreme example of what can happen for those who neglect their car registration.
Unregistered, uninsured, unlicensed and unsupervised on L plates. Serious allegations levelled against a local 49-year-old man.
If that vehicle is involved in an accident, they're not covered, they're still liable, but they're not protected.
Police stopping a blue Holden Colorado on Baggett Street on Saturday afternoon. The alleged driver hit with infringement notices over the vehicle's lack of rego and insurance and will face court accused of driving with an expired licence.
The driver at hand, his vehicle had been unregistered for a considerable amount of time, so it certainly hadn't snuck up on him, he just simply hadn't done it.
But police say it serves a reminder to check your own rego.
Going, somewhat paperless. It is much easier now to pay your registration, certainly on the apps and online. But the consequence of that is it can sneak up on people.
With more leaving their car and home unsupervised during the day, it's also a timely reminder to ensure your property is secure.
We're not seeing people jamming open car doors or damaging property to get objects. We're seeing people taking very clear opportunistic views of cars unlocked, items on the back of tradies' work trays.
And report thefts to police, not just to Facebook groups. Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The founder of a top rehabilitation program says Port Augusta and Whyalla have some of the worst drug habits he's ever seen. Hosting a substance abuse seminar last night to equip families with the tools to create real lasting change.
Helping residents break their friends and family free from a life-controlling issue.
So what we're doing here is coming over to educate the community on how to deal with addiction.
More than 160 people attending an addiction seminar called Tough Love last night in Port Augusta. Hosted by Peter Lyndon James, the CEO and founder of Australia's toughest and most successful rehabilitation centre, Shalom House. He says greater awareness and intervention services are desperately needed in our region now, more than ever before.
We've been around Australia many times holding seminars, and I can say confidently that Port Augusta, Whyalla, is probably the worst I've ever seen in the whole of Australia.
The first session, delving into how the community and families can stand up and make a difference.
Seminars are designed more for the family members, loved ones and professionals to equip them the tools to do what it is they need to do, not what they want to do.
An additional seminar today, tailored towards professionals who are working with people caught up in cycles of addiction, exploring how to work in ways that produce better results.
There's a definite need for people who are struggling with addiction, not knowing what to do. There's a lack of resources, lack of rehabilitation centres, and people who have lots of loved ones who caught up in addiction just don't know what to do.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Port Lincoln City Council has announced 7 local groups and projects will benefit from community grants. The funds will be used to assist organisations with operational costs while improving their services to the community.
Community groups doing important work for the region. 7 services receiving community grant funding from the council.
It's right across the board. It's pretty significant when you think about the way that these organisations support our community. So it's upon us to make sure that we support them as much as we can.
The council's latest round of community grants aiding sport clubs, youth and community support, as well as a local history group. The Port Lincoln Mayor saying these groups make a difference throughout the region.
And anything that's got a positive outlook as far as I'm concerned and as far as council is concerned is a good thing for us.
The Port Lincoln History Group, Community House Port Lincoln and Air Writers among the recipients. Yarrity Services, the Nord Football Club and the Lower Air Road Safety Committee also received funding.
West Coast Community Care, they had a project particularly focused on youth, and so we put money towards that as well.
Just under $30,000 awarded.
Community grants in this particular environment, it's just sort of not the big end of town. It's a project that needs to be done and up and going. They can apply and we can get it out quickly.
The council is encouraging organisations to apply for the next round of community grants. Dylan Smith, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. Port Augusta High School students exhibit their artwork for public viewing. And 2 more Far West outback properties to become national parks. Hello again. Creative Port Augusta secondary students have been able to exhibit their art for the public to see. Displayed in the esteemed platform gallery, students say they're motivated to keep creating art after they graduate.
A bright and coloured-filled future awaiting these budding artists. Port Augusta Year 12 students today preparing for the launch of their very own exhibition.
The Port Augusta Secondary School senior students are exhibiting their artwork throughout the year at the Curtin Data Platform Gallery.
The annual event seeing the Platform Gallery excited to host the students once again.
It's really exciting to have the students' artwork here. The Port Augusta Secondary School is just across the road and it's a fabulous opportunity for the students.
The art ranging from traditional canvas paintings to statues and 3D light-up displays.
We had 2 themes this year, so we started off with fantasy, which is something that our cohort is really interested in, and we also did light and darkness, which tied in really well with the Light Festival that was happening in Adelaide.
The students not only creating the art, but also heavily involved in the layout and hanging of the gallery display.
I think it's just a new experience being able to show off my art to the community and other students at the school that may want to do this when they become Year 12.
With the students saying the exhibition gives them a chance to gain recognition for their art beyond showing it to their family and friends.
The Curtin Data artists are very keen for new and young members to join us because all art in the community is well worth having.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A local Port Lincoln museum has welcomed a new display, paying homage to the city's rich maritime history. The Axel Stenros Maritime Museum restoring an old boat to its former glory.
Bringing this old boat back to life. Featured in Axel Stenros's latest display, now open to the public.
Yeah, it's come back home and it's been restored significantly to its original format pretty much.
The Sea Nymph was built in 1944 at Axel's boat shed, now the site of the museum. The restoration of the vessel taking longer than a year.
It's an interesting boat. And it's been interesting watching the restoration process go ahead and all the boys working out how to go about it and all the problem solving that's gone with it.
The Lauby family donating the boat after 23 years of using her for fishing, swimming and picnic outings.
Absolutely amazing. It's just beautiful. Just wish we could put it in the water and have a ride on it, but we can't do that.
Pauline Heinonen from the museum saying the vessel is an important part of the city's maritime history. Also saying donations are always welcome.
In particular, ones which directly link to Axel's boat building. And I think that's what's so special about this one, that the Sea Nymph was built right on this location.
The Sea Nymph now sits proudly next to the museum's collection of wooden boats. Dylan Smith, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Another 2 properties in Far West New South Wales have been purchased by the state government to become national parks. Avenel Station near Packsaddle and Coonabarra Station near Ivanhoe, adding almost 167,000 hectares to the national parks estate. Avenel Station, highlighted for its dune fields and rocky plateaus, also home to 30 threatened species. It will become the 2nd largest area purchased in the state's history. Rev heads from across the Spencer Gulf will converge in Whyalla this weekend for the city's Sprint Car Track Championships. The club celebrating its 50th year of operation, with races from across the state travelling to the event.
An event to hype up motor racing enthusiasts living in the Steel City. The first round of the Whyalla Sprint Car Track Championships held this Saturday at the city's racing track.
It's a new thing we've brought to Whyalla, obviously with the support of our Whyalla Council. we want to really promote the area of Whyalla and what our speedway can offer with a wider speedway community.
This weekend also featuring wingless sprints, V6 races and the Formula 500s. Organisers keen to build up the profile for the event and attract drivers from all over the country once border restrictions are relaxed.
Hopefully as borders start opening up throughout the year, we can get competitors from interstate and bring people from all over Australia.
The City Speedway Club celebrating its 50 years, bringing a variety of motorsports to the city. Club President Michael Brown wanting to boost his organisation, welcoming everyone to join for a night of racing on Saturday.
Basically, you're going to be watching 12 cars with 900 horsepower each whizzing around a track, so it's going to be pretty exciting. It's not follow the leader, it's two wide racing, so that's all we can ask for.
Tickets can be purchased at the gate or on the club's Eventbrite page. Mark Zita, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. We'll have the results from weekend sport from across the region. And Alex Sykes will join us with the weather details. I'll see you soon. Welcome back. Summer sports are in full swing across the region, with softball, basketball and tennis teams delivering in their last rounds. Our reporter Katrina Musson has this week's sports wrap.
In Port Pirie softball, Solly Cats batters turned up the heat on Cougars at the weekend, while Carla Williams celebrated her 300-game milestone. A 9-run inning at the bottom of the first was a heartbreaker for Cougars. It wasn't until the top of the 4th innings that Cougars were able to bring a run across the plate. Jerry Lee Brown looked comfortable for Cats both with the bat and on the field. Cougars' Emily Gonzalez put down a couple of safe hits, but had her work cut out at first with some difficult takes being thrown at her. In the other game, it was Tigers and Checkmates. Checkmates would have been pleased with their efforts on Saturday, recording wins in every grade. Checkmates' Rachel Chompey would almost be the premium pitcher in the competition and was instrumental in pitching her team to a win. Turning to basketball now and in Port Augusta. Round 2 of the men's A grade did not disappoint. In a close match, Eagles defeated Titans by 6 goals, while in the other game, Wildcats clawed their way to victory against Cobras. The final score 49-48. And finally, to Port Lincoln tennis. The Friday night mixed matches saw Port Lincoln Dental win 8 sets, 77 games against Yumba Aquaculture. In the other match, Bendigo Bank defeated Port Lincoln Boat Supplies, 11 sets, 74 games to 5 sets, 49. Monday night men's saw GPK Accounting, 5 sets, 38 games, defeating Terry White Chemmart. Sports Power defeated EP Seafoods, 6 sets, 36 games to 0 sets, 14. And the Air Eye Centre won the match with 6 sets, 36 games, defeating the Fresh Fish Place. And that's all for sport from across the region. If your team or club would like your results featured, please let us know at our Facebook page.
Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather. Here's Alex Sykes.
Thanks, Ruby. Well, temperatures soar today with sunny conditions right across the region, and I hope you made the most of it because the rains are here tomorrow. There was a fire weather warning current today, also for the West Coast and Eastern Eyre Peninsula. From 3 p.m. today, Whyalla was 31 degrees, Port Lincoln was mostly sunny and 29, and Broken Hill recorded the region's low, reaching a top of 26 degrees. Looking further out across the region now, Port Augusta was 32, Port Pirie was 30, Adelaide was 29, Woodna was 35, Kadina and Cleve both got to a high of 33, Clare was 27, Cooper Pedy had some afternoon dust and reached 36 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, cloud bubbling across the west with an approaching trough is leading to some thundery showers in the northwest. Bright high cloud over the southwest and far southeast is not causing any rain. Clear skies elsewhere with a dry air mass and high pressure ridge. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Northwesterly winds 15 to 20 knots, seas around 1 metre, and south to southwesterly swell below 1 metre. Showers across the state tomorrow. Port Lincoln will have a shower or two and will reach 30 degrees. Wind easing in both Cleve and Woodna. While a shower or two and wind easing with a high of 38 degrees there. Port Augusta will have an afternoon dust and also 38. Kadina will be 31 degrees. Port Pirie will reach 36. 6, Clare is set to reach 32, and Broken Hill will be mostly sunny and reach a high of 35 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, those showers will continue into Thursday across the region. 32 in Port Augusta and Woodner, 28 in Whyalla and Kadina, Cooper Pedy wind easing 35 degrees, and Broken Hill will have a possible storm with 29. Those warm temperatures will disappear by Friday. Possible shower in Port Augusta and Broken Hill, sunny in Cooper Pedy and 24, partly cloudy in Woodner with 20 degrees, a shower or 2 in Port Lincoln and Port Pirie. Most of those showers will have cleared by Saturday. Possible shower in Port Lincoln and Adelaide. The rest of the state will have partly cloudy conditions, and Broken Hill will be sunny and reach 19 degrees. So looks like today was our last sunny day for a while, and that's all the weather from me for tonight. It's back to you, Ruby.
Great, thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Tuesday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later. Until then, enjoy your evening, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.